Back in 2019, I posted one of my first videos on YouTube. It was a video on how I made this Irish pub style bar for a client of mine. The bar turned out great, and trust me, the client was beyond happy. But to be honest, as time has gone by, I've made way better videos. But for some reason, this bar build video is by far my most popular one to date, like by a long shot. So, when my friend came along recently and asked if I would make him one of these types of pub style bars, I decided to film the process over again, but this time, post a more updated version of the same build. In other words, one with a better camera, and one that includes my annoying voice instead of music. You get the idea. The design of this bar is definitely not one that I made up or anything, but it's one that I have made several times, including for myself. The one you are seeing now is actually mine. It's the very first woodworking project I've ever done. Now, that being said, any beginner with at least some interest in DIY can build this bar. And you literally can build this whole bar with a drill and a circular saw if that's all you have available to you. To help with that, I put together very comprehensive step-by-step directions on how I built these. It has great illustrations as well as a detailed cut list. If you have any interest in getting your hands on them, just post a message in the comments or email me directly or DM me on Instagram or, I don't know, send a raven, whatever floats your boat. So let's begin. The first thing I do these days is virtually design my project on the computer. It takes all the guesswork out of it beforehand, and it gives me a great visual to show the clients before I begin. And trust me, thank God I did that, because my buddy changed his mind multiple times before finally deciding on this final layout. The one we landed on is this 9-foot bar top with an 8-foot base. The left side of the bar will butt up against the wall, while the right side will have an overhang to accommodate an extra seat at the bar. The back of the bar will just have two simple long shelves. And finally, he wanted to have what he called a workspace that was kitchen island height so that he can basically have a prep area for making drinks for his guests. The whole thing will be made from solid walnut, which in my personal opinion is the way to go. The first step is the frame, which consists of all 2x6s. 2x4s work just as well if you want to save a couple bucks. I'm sure there's not really much of a difference, but this is just how I've always done mine. I like to always start with making all the cuts of the frame beforehand. It just keeps everything organized. And then this is really where a cut list comes in handy. Next, just lay the long top and bottom boards down and start with the two outer stud sides. I use 3-inch screws for every butt joint. Then fill in the middle with the studs. I like to use a spacer board here to get even spacing. If there's ever an opportunity to take out doing any math, I'm all for it. Now for the two smaller short sides. This goes fairly quickly. Just like the longer front, just lay in the two studs in between the tops and the bottoms. And with that, you've got the general frame of the bar. On to the shelving behind the bar. I designed this to be its own separate modular piece so that I can transport everything later to my friend's house and put together on site. That being said, this whole piece is simply a box made of 2x4s. Two outer sides put together in much the same way the bar frame was, and then joined together using 5-inch spacers. Again, you're basically rehashing a lot of what you just did for the bar frame. Once I had the two sides of the box done, I joined them with the spacers. And for the spacers, I use pocket holes for joinery. Way easier for this type of application. I now could finally cover some of this framework up with some paneling. Beginning with the box/shelving, I just started cutting down 1/4-inch walnut plywood to size and fastened it using my brad nailer and pin nailer, starting from the top, then the bottom. For the trim work, if you have the extra cutoffs, use them. They will make the final product look a lot more professional. I didn't do this on my own bar in my house as I was on a tighter budget and was a bit less experienced. I instead used stain a lot more. Don't get me wrong, it did do the trick, but again, if you have the extra cutoffs, this is when to use them. As I mentioned earlier, this whole thing is being built modular, as in separate pieces, so that I can assemble it on site at my friend's house. It'd be too big to transport otherwise, so the order of some of the things that I'm doing here would likely be different if you were making this for yourself right on site. Case in point here, as I'm already applying finish to just the shelving section. While I let that dry, it was time for the outer bar frame paneling. And as I like to do, taking out any math work, I just scribed a line for where to cut it down and use a combination of my table saw and track saw to cut these bigger pieces to size. Now I have a super small shop, so having one of these Bora Caterpillars is a game changer. Basically gives you a quick makeshift workbench outside the shop. With a lot of the bar frame taking up the whole shop, it was super useful to get a separate workspace to work on the paneling and trim work of the main bar, right here outside. As I mentioned earlier, my buddy opted for actual walnut for the whole bar, including the trim, which is super nice. But you don't necessarily need to do that. You can buy cheaper wood and just stain to match if you're on a budget. It's what I did for my own bar. It could legit cut the cost of the bar in half just doing so. Of course, if I did build my bar today, I would go with real walnut because to me it looks better, but that is simply my opinion. Definitely go by your own judgment on that. And just like before, I'm applying the finish now so that I can pack these pieces away and assemble them into the frame later on at his house for easier transport. Not the ideal order of events that I would suggest, but it was the best way I could come up with since all this had to fit in my mid-sized truck at some point, with no help I might add. And in case I haven't mentioned it, the finish I'm using for this entire bar is wipe-on polyurethane. I applied 2 coats to all these pieces. Now for the fun part, the bar top. This is the focal point of all bars, and there's a specific way to build these types of pub-style bar tops. It's done in 3 parts, the subtop, the main top, and the bar rails at the end. The main top needs to be flush with the subtop on the back side, but indented in on the front side. The exact measurements can be found in my instructions, but overall, you'll want the subtop to be about 1.5 inches deeper than the main top. And the reason to do all this is because of the bar rails that we put on at the end, which I'll show you later on. This bar was going to be 9 feet in length, and seeing how plywood typically comes in 8 feet, I had to do this in sections. I was going for a 10-inch overhang here, so I measured accordingly and started attaching the subtop. I drew a line on both sides of the frame for where I wanted the back of the top to stop. By doing so, I guaranteed to still have the overhang I was going for in the front of the bar. I'll be adding a drip tray type of shelf later to use this space efficiently. Once I had the pieces in place, I used pocket holes to fasten them together tightly. Then attach the whole subtop to the frame itself from the top down using 2.5-inch screws. Now, before I started with the main top, I decided to add some edge banding to it to give the top a more finished look. It may be walnut plywood, but the exposed edges are still, well, plywood. So to cover that up and give it the illusion of solid wood, you can apply this banding to all the exposed sides. It's pretty easy. You just cut the length you need and apply heat to it using an iron. The heat activates the adhesive underneath and it quickly sticks to the sides permanently. I then use this edge banding trimmer I bought off Amazon for a few bucks. It's a fast, easy way to quickly trim off all the excess. Once you have the subtop installed and the main top prepped, you can now add the main top. I use a tiny cutoff off the bar rail to use as a jig to properly space how far in the main top needs to be for proper placement on top. You want to get this part right, as it could cause problems down the road when installing the bar rails. Once I had it where I wanted, I just clamped it down to avoid shifting. Here's a view of the back side of the bar before screwing things down. Anything that will be exposed in the final outcome is now covered with the edge banding. Any exposed plywood you see here will be covered by that drip tray shelf thing I'm going to make later that I was talking about earlier. With both tops in place, you can now screw the 2 sheets together from the bottom. Make sure to use screws that are not long enough to penetrate through the top here. I use 1.25 screws for this. It's finally time for the bar rails. This is what really gives the bar's professional finished look. Like the rest of the build, my buddy put up the extra cash to get solid walnut versions of these. But, as I said before, you can opt to get cheaper species and then stain to the desired color. Take care to measure correctly here to minimize mistakes, as even the cheaper species are still pretty pricey, and you don't want to be stuck having to buy more simply because you cut off way too much. For straight cuts, it's as simple as anything else. Just cut the right length and attach by screwing from the bottom. I'd suggest clamping them down first to avoid shifting. And just like the bar top, use screws that won't pop up through the top. But for the corners, that's when things get slightly tricky. This might be the only slightly difficult part of the build. Miter cuts are never super easy, but this has the added fun of not having really a flat bottom. What I did was create a false bottom for the rail to sit on that was the same dimensions of the sides of the bar top while I was cutting. You cut one 45-degree angle, then another opposing 45-degree angle that makes the turn. Really take your time. I'd actually suggest going backwards here, which I know sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out. Just start by cutting your first cut at the complete end of one of your rails. Then, when you're satisfied with it, cut the other end of the same rail at the regular 90 degrees to get your desired final length. I just found that to be more forgiving for making mistakes from the start. If all goes well, you'll have a nice mitered fit. Keep in mind that you can also manipulate this a bit if it's not perfect, with some sanding or shimming underneath, or both. At this point, I was at the home stretch. I removed the top so that I could add finish to it before transport to my friend's house. Like the rest of it, I used oil-based polyurethane. Not the wipe-on version, since there was so much ground to cover, but same idea. I applied liberally here, and since this is the actual top that will see the most traffic by far, I applied 5 different coats. After the first 2, I lightly hand sanded with 320 grit between each coat to remove all the little dried bumps and rough spots. It looks a bit patchy when it dries up until that 3rd coat, but after that it starts looking better and better after each layer. I didn't end up filming the build of the workspace unit that's going to be sitting behind the bar that he wanted, because it's not really part of a typical bar build, but it's built much in the same way as everything else in this. A 2x4 frame covered in walnut paneling. It's really just a modular unit that he's going to use to house a mini fridge, and it is kitchen island height so that he can use the top for drink preps. Aside from some last minute fun additions like a magnetic catch bottle opener and my awesome logo and QR code, this puppy was ready for delivery and install. I actually ended up having to make 2 trips to get everything over there since the bar top alone was so big, but hopefully you can now see why I had to make the bar in separate modular parts. Installing the bar at someone else's house is always a little hectic at the beginning, since you're not absolutely sure where everything is going to go, and neither is the owner, since this is the first time they're actually seeing it in real life and might have some last minute changes for the layout. But once you first get through that initial confusion with the layout, install can be a breeze. You want to first come to a final decision on where the frame is going to sit. Then it's all about anchoring down. I don't care how heavy you think your bar is, if you don't anchor it down, you run a huge risk of this thing toppling over one day, or at the very least swaying whenever someone leans on it hard. You want this thing solid as a rock. You generally have 2 options here: anchoring to a stud in the wall, if it's touching a wall, or anchoring to the floor. We went with both here, which is my recommendation. You'll notice immediately how solid the bar is once it's anchored down. You'll also want to use this time to run any wiring through for extension cords or lighting or whatever. Since there's no paneling in your way, it's easier to get all this setup done now. After you're all set with the frame, you can finally attach all the paneling and trim to the body. Starting with the big front one, I just made sure to mark where the beams are of the frames and just started nailing away with my brad nailer. Then just repeated again for the smaller side. After the paneling was attached, I started with all the trim. Again, starting with the front. I worked my way from the bottom base one and on up. And like the paneling, I tried to aim for the studs of the frame when nailing, then worked my way around the corner. This is really when the bar started to take shape. At this point, it was finally time to bring in and attach the bar top. Definitely an exciting moment for sure. I can't express how satisfying it was to finally see this top on the finished and assembled base, especially since I wasn't really able to see it all together at my own house. This was as much a first reveal for me as it was for my friend and his wife. To make this attachment, I just used a bunch of 2.5-inch screws and screwed from the bottom through the frame and into the top. It was also at this point that I put the back drip tray shelf to cover the exposed parts of the back. Unfortunately, I didn't really get a good shot of that. But here's some B-roll to make up for it, and to show off how beautiful this bar came out. Enjoy! I've never been a big fan of the term man cave. It just feels outdated. A home bar today is so much more than that. To me, it's not about disappearing in a corner of the house. It's what the dining room used to be decades ago. A central gathering space. A place where guests linger a little longer, where sporting events are enjoyed together with friends and family, where holidays just feel warmer, where even a night in can still feel like a night out. It brings family together, it brings friends together. And honestly, can you name another room in the house that really does that anymore?